All right, Detroit Lions fans, Bob and Joe are here back with local football flavor. We're just wanting to chat with everybody about the Lions offseason so far. And one of the biggest things that we know that the Lions needed to do in the offseason was improve the defense. And that's one of the things they did exactly. Now, I would say the biggest splash signing is C.J. Gardner-Johnson, 1 year, I believe, for $8 million. It seems like a steal. I mean, C.J. Gardner-Johnson did get hurt this past year with the Eagles, but when he played, it was lights out. And when you have a prove-it deal with a team that is all about proving it, I mean, you've already set yourself up in a better situation than you were in last year. Including in that signing, they signed Cam Sutton, and they also signed Mosley, who came from San Francisco. Now, what we know about San Francisco's defense is, all year it's talked about as being great, being great, being great. When it finally came time to prove it, it wasn't so great. But for all intents and purposes, the Lions needed somebody. And if you go after the best players from the best teams, or you go after players that played on the best defenses in the league the past year, it seems to make sense that those players could possibly be better than the ones that you had. Cam Sutton, I know, Joe, you've got a lot of things probably to say about Cam Sutton. But the Lions are making moves, and I think that one of the most important things for the Lions this offseason was to make sure that they at least get some new bodies in there that will fit, what they want to do with their team, which is all about, just going after things, getting plays done, doing your job, and going out there again to make sure that the next player or the next one up is able to do their job. So on defense, I think they're set up really well. However, I think that on offense, that at least in some ways, they're going a little bit backwards. One of the reasons I say that is Jamal Williams a flash in the pan? I don't know. But the energy that he brought to the team, as we've already said multiple occasions, is undeniable. And when you lose a player who has that ability to just bring a locker room together. And there's probably other players in that locker room that can do that. But the one that we saw in the media a lot was Williams. And we want to just go out there and say, is Monty that guy? And I don't think he's ever had the opportunity to be that guy. And I don't think he is that guy, if I'm just being point blank, period. Coming out of Iowa State, you're not really, he was expected to do really good things. And is he a really good player? Of course he's a really good player. Can he fit really well with Detroit? Absolutely, he could fit well with Detroit. Will he want revenge on Chicago twice a year? Yes. However, is he a player that has the same type of personality as Williams? I don't think so. And I think that personality and play style mean a lot in today's NFL when a locker room likes you and when a locker room, appreciates your skills and abilities. Is that going to happen with Montgomery? Of course that could happen with Montgomery. But I just don't see it as being a rallying point as it was this year. Now, going after Montgomery and having DeAndre Swift on your team, and then your backup being a guy like Craig Reynolds, you're not really setting yourself up well, because David Montgomery has an injury history. DeAndre Swift has an injury history. And Craig Reynolds is not the guy. And so you're currently at a point in time in your team's lifespan where you have a chance to make it to the next level, as we've talked about in lots of different instances in time. And I don't think that at this moment in time that offense is built to take it to the next level. Particularly speaking, the Lions were fourth in yards after the catch last year. And one of the reasons why was Amon-Ra St. Brown. Amon-Ra St. Brown was thrown the ball I believe, like 112 or 109 times, and he caught the ball like 101 times. Like, I mean, the guy is extremely efficient. They get the ball to him in space, and he's so good. But when he goes down, that receiving core, I think the next one up after him that's currently on the roster still had 38 catches. So you're going from 101 to 38. And one of the things that, they just lost DJ Chark to Carolina. Was that a big loss? I don't think so. I don't think that it was a tremendous loss. But when you are thinking about what the Lions did well last year, a lot of that came on offense. And you want to keep that up, and you just lost arguably your most electrifying, personality in the locker room, and you haven't given yourself any improvement or weapons to help you. And I'm not saying they need to sign anybody like crazy, but a signing like Adam Thielen or Nelson Aguilar, just to get your young guys, like Williams that was hurt last season, to the next level, because is he ready to step it up and play into that second position? They must trust them. I mean, Dan Campbell puts a lot of trust in his players. The coaching staff puts a lot of trust in their players. So they must trust the guys that they have on their roster right now. But, if I'm defenses, I'm not scared of Quintez Cephas. I'm not scared of Khalif Raymond. It's just, there isn't anything there at this point in time to say, okay, Lions, we're really going for the gusto this year on offense and improving that. And one of the other things, and you can speak on this too, is an incredible need at backup quarterback. I mean, I really don't even say that backup quarterback is a need for most teams, but man, the Lions have always had extremely awful backup quarterbacks. And to be honest, other than the lifespan of Matt Stafford, pretty bad starting quarterbacks. And
That's
so
true too.
to not have a good backup is just like, no offense to Dan Orlovsky or anything like that, but this is one of those things where you kind of are like, guys, come on, step it up. We need something. So, they've already addressed their need at cornerback. They've already addressed their need at safety. They've already addressed those needs. Where their other needs are defensive tackle. They need to keep bringing in people on offensive line, and they just need enough bodies to allow their young guys rest. But I mean, if you look at this offense, Joe, and you can speak on it here on the offense or on the defense, but particularly on offense, that wide receiver room and that quarterback situation, it needs to improve.
Yes, and the thing that I like that Detroit has in the first time forever is they actually have a manageable list of holes. Detroit used to just be everything. Like, look, what does Detroit need? Everything. But it's not that way anymore. And as a result of, they have two real needs. I mean, Bob, we're sitting here in the last week of March. The Detroit Lions only have two real needs and way more draft capital than needed to solve these problems. So they absolutely need a number 2 receiver, and quite frankly, they have the 6th and 18th pick overall. So you can get a very good receiver at either one of those slots. And then they need an internal defensive lineman for D tackle. So I actually am looking at Detroit and saying that you potentially have set yourself up not to just be great right now, but if you move number 6 to one of these quarterback desperate teams, you could potentially be the anti-Rams forever. Like, you could get first-round picks for the next 2 first-round picks for the next 6 years. And, it's a remarkable thing. If I'm sitting in Detroit, that's exactly what I want to do. I want to move number 6 overall to some team that is crazy desperate for a quarterback. God knows there's a lot of them out there. And just see what happens. Get a great haul in return And then at 18, you get a receiver at 18, it's going to be a damn good receiver. So that's how I would address this when I'm looking at the team, because I am just absolutely loving everything Detroit has done so far in this offseason. And to do a spotlight on what they now have, Cam Sutton is one of the very few corners in the NFL that can successfully play both outside and slot. Most of them can do one or the other. And granted, it used to be the outside was the more cherished one because receivers who were elite would only play outside. Well, that doesn't exist anymore. Cooper Kupp proved that very well 2 years ago. You can be elite, you can play the slot, and you can dominate. And with that being said, the fact that Sutton is able to move back and forth is a tremendous advantage. This team upgraded its safety position, helping it cover that weak middle of the field. And while I've said in the past, I do prefer bringing in 26-year-old defensive tackles than 21, just for the simple fact that 5 years of maturity and growth and strength makes a huge difference at this level. However, bringing in big bodies cannot hurt. And I look at this team and just see the potential that's out there to really make some big dents. And number 6 overall, you still get a pretty good haul for it, especially if it's on draft day and a quarterback has slipped.
So
just imagine if somehow 2, 3, 4, and 5 don't go quarterback. This will be the most expensive ticket as a 6th-round pick ever.
Here's something
to get either the Alabama one or the Ohio State.
Here's something for you. So exactly. CBS's mock draft, and you can take this is just any mock draft you can
mock
take
draft
up here.
In March.
Now, it has the Washington Commanders trading up to the 6th pick to get Will Levis, and you could put any quarterback that's available there. Teams love Will Levis. I don't get it. I don't understand it. But they have them trading down. But they also, at 18, and this is where it gets a little interesting in terms of the quarterback situation. So at 16, where's 14? Did I do 14 already? Yeah, at 16, the pick that the Commanders had, it has them taking Quentin Johnson out of TCU, which that fills a need. That's a really good pick right there. But then in their original pick of 18, it has them taking Bijan Robinson. And now when you look at what's happening with that team, is Monty going to be there for years? Probably not, but Bijan Robinson. And you know that having more than one running back is a very, very, very quality thing for a team. That's
on Detroit, I'm not touching running back at all. I mean, while yes, you have just paid more for Monty than you have for than you did for Williams. I mean, they paid Monty more than Williams walking out the door. But when we look at this and say, do they need to use a first-round pick on a running back? No, that's what they invented third-round picks for. And that's how I look at it. I mean, Detroit really has the potential to take this division by storm. And
now,
whether Love or Rodgers is that quarterback in Green Bay, Detroit beat them twice.
Now,
Detroit beat the Packers twice.
Now, Joe, here's another one that you could go with, is that they could just stay pat at 6 and take Jalen Carter. We've talked about, adding depth on defense and going after defensive linemen. I mean,
that's another option. You go all in this year. It's totally possible. What I'm saying is they have options because they don't have extreme needs for the first time in forever. And like I said, Detroit, I am absolutely loving where they're at. I've always liked their color blue. I really don't like when you guys wear gray, especially on Thanksgiving. But that's a side personal thing. But I love rooting for Detroit. If for no other reason, it shows that Lake isn't cursed and Cleveland just does it wrong. So let's go to Detroit. I want to see them keep going. And they have fulfilled a lot of their needs. And they have the ability to win this division. I'm very excited to watch the Detroit Lions moving forward.